Hello, everybody. It's your old. Oh, hold a second. There you go. Am I live? Am I on? Hello. I think I'm on. I hit the wrong button. I'm not sure if I'm on or not. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if I'm on here, amigos. I can't tell. I hit a button. It took me off, and I think I'm. What's up in that? What's going on in your searching out there? Anything you find anything good? If you know what I'm saying. All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm live, right? I'm on. Anybody? 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 Okay. Haven't got any thumbs up yet. There we are. Cool. All right. Gotcha. All right. So we'll while we're waiting to jump in here, I wanted to share with you this. This is pretty interesting. The first 100 years of the CPI. Introduction of the new cost of living index. In the early 1940s, the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, cost of living division introduced a new index called the cost of living of wage earners and low salaried workers in large cities. The index was based on a 1934 to 1936 expenditure study. The revisions incorporated into the new index included both methodological changes and changes in the structure and composition of the index. As was suspected, the older item structure failed to reflect contemporaneous consumption habits. As we expected, the older item structure failed to reflect contemporaneous consumption habits. And the new index introduced items that had become common consumer goods between 1919 and 1934. I know you're like, what? Oh, okay, that's great. What the hell does that mean? The new index reflected the two realities that goods normally associated with upper income families were becoming less expensive and were now within reach of moderate income families. And that the electrification of daily life was quickly becoming the norm of urban wage earning families as well as more wealthy. Hey, well, if we're just going to go down here just a little bit here too, I want to show you. I don't know if I can be able to find it here, but let's see. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm probably not going to find it. Anyway, so the what happened was they way over emphasized food. I'm not going to find it. They way overemphasized food at the beginning. Where I'm going with this is, at the end of the day, and I'm going to say this to I'm blue in the face. Using the CPI as part of your analysis in retirement is just straight up stupid. That does. I mean, what I mean by that is because what exactly is CPI? This is just going back to 1940, the changes. And as I showed you a million times a Sunday, I'll show you these changes here too. Hold on a second. You can see changes 1980 to 81, 77 79, 61 76, 52 to 60, 51, 47. The point being is there's 8,000 different ways of the CPI being adjusted. And the big one, of course, is just going back to what was just stated there, which I find people just, it's silly, man. It's silly to the point of I'm over it, to be honest with you. When people start talking like this, it bores me. I just want to point this out. Right here, hold on a second. I can't find where I found it. Hold on just a second. Hold on, right here. Hold on. We'll find it. Right here. The new index reflected the realities that goods normally associated with upper income families were becoming less expensive or now within reach of moderate income families, and that the electrification of daily life was quickly becoming the norm. The point being is all these people say the dollar is only worth 6 cents for when it used to be in 1913 or whatever the hell they use. And I just find that literally the most silliest argument I've ever heard in my life. Simply because the fact is, when we were in 1913, you couldn't have a house, you couldn't have this, you didn't have this, you didn't have electrification, natural gas pumping through your home, maybe, probably not. You know what I'm saying? You're using coal. A lot of people had open air wood stoves, which is horrible for your for tuberculosis and stuff. In fact, one of the things I want to do is a study on tuberculosis, the rise in tuberculosis in the late 1800s, early 1900s, which led to a lot of people dying before their time, was because of wood stoves. We're seeing, if you look at third world countries, the enemies of good people are Bill Gates and the environmentalists, because they don't want electrification there via fossil fuels or nuclear. You know what I'm saying? They'd much rather have them burning wood in open air wood stoves and cow dung than they would electrification by nuclear or fossil fuels. They'd rather have them die. And that horror is, if you look at the actual major causes of death in third world countries, is lung disease. It's not because they're all smoking cigarettes, because they're all breathing in toxins from open air wood burning stoves. And coal as well is horrible. And these people don't care. They just don't care. They actually, frankly, I don't want to say they want people dead, because that would be like Georgia Guidestone stuff. 500 million people. I'm not saying that. I'll let you make the determination. Anyway, so how do you adjust for inflation? The facts of a lifestyle that 100 years ago is not what we're living today. 30 years ago is not what we're living today. I did not have a TV growing up. Many of y'all didn't either. I didn't have a color TV until I was in 11, 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? I just tell my kids, one of the first times we actually ever watched a movie in our house, when my dad and my mom split, my dad had an apartment with a couple roommates in Portland, Maine. And I guess they all pushed in for HBO or something like that. I can't remember. But I remember going up to this crap old apartment, and my dad, he had a roommate. I mean, it's literally just a room, you know what I'm saying? And we watched Popeye, the old movie. I think Robin Williams was Popeye, if memory serves. I think. Anyway, and I was like, that was like the coolest thing ever. You get to watch this movie inside a house, or in our house. We don't have to go to the movie, because we probably went to the movie theater twice in the 1970s, because it was too far away. You couldn't afford it. We didn't have a car. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to watch Popeye the Sailor Man movie in my dad's house, with his apartment that he was sharing with these guys. Craig was a guy I think owned the place, and I'll never forget that. And now my kids just watching The Office reruns last night with one of my kids. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So how do you adjust that for CPI? How do you say, hey, what is the dollar declining, all that? It's freaking stupid, man. I get so sick of the negative people like, the dollar, you better buy gold. Like, so gold is the antithesis against a declining dollar? Yes. Where's the evidence of that? Well, didn't you see from 1971 to 1980, gold went up? Yeah, because they got rid of the artificial ceiling for gold. Freaking idiots, man. I'm sorry. It just pisses me off. That doesn't mean you don't own gold. It just means gold in of itself isn't salvation to a declining dollar. It's not. And so anyway, that's what I just got just tons of stuff working on in this regard, because it's the only inflation that matters is your inflation. Nothing else matters. And the only way to figure out your inflation is to actually take the damn time and look at your expenses. Pardon my French. You're not serious if you don't actually crack down on expenses to get a gauge about retiring. You're just not. And that doesn't mean you freaking yell at me and throw me rotten tomatoes and all that. If you don't know what your expenses are, you're not serious about retirement. You're just frankly not, man. And it drives me up the crazy. So you're going to say, our expenses are $5,000 a month. Where'd you get that from? I don't know. Okay, we're not serious about retiring. Well, how am I supposed to know? Well, you're supposed to get a gauge of what you are spending now and say, what am I going to spend in the future, for the foreseeable future? I'm not saying you got to know 15 years from now, but for heaven's sakes, man. You know what I'm saying? For heaven's sake, I was just reading in the BLS about the household expenses on children. Not all that won't be gone for me, but a good amount of that's going to be gone, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, now we got 4 pork chops I'm going to sous vide tonight, and then I'll crisp, if you know what I'm saying. Crisp. You know what I'm talking about. You put the crisp, I guess. Saute. Anyway, so we got 4 pork chops. That's it. A pack of 4 pork chops, that wouldn't feed the whole family before. Now it's going to feed the whole family. It'd probably be leftovers. You know what I'm saying? Made some bacon the other day. I've already had some for breakfast. Had some for breakfast yesterday. One of my kids had some for lunch yesterday. There's still bacon left over. 2 of my kids are gone, dudes. You see what I'm saying? So my food expenditures are slowly declining. I got 2 young, well, not young anymore, but teenage boys. They're going to be eating like crazy, because my one kid's already 6 foot. My other kid's already 5'8". You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, oh boy.
So these guys are eating ravenously. But either way, it's like I looked over there. I got 4 pork chops, smaller ones too. I said, because we got BOGOs at Publix. I said, that's it. I said, oh, yeah. Got 4 pork chops. Can make some mashed potatoes and some salad, and we are good to go. Seems kind of weird, man, because normally we need 4 pork chops, and then we'd have a little bit left over. Anyway, all right. So I want to share with you one thing I thought was pretty funny. You can't see this. This is from an article in the I think it's the New York Times. Yeah, New York Times. The zero at the equator someday, says Dr. H.W. Wiley. Who is H.W. Wiley? He's a chief chemist at the Department of Agriculture in Washington. And he says the wind will keep us warm. Why do we need the wind to keep us warm? Because he said, let's see, then you suspend that the equator is going to freeze over. So Dr. H.W. Wiley, the chief chemist at the Department of Agriculture, said the equator will freeze over. He said that, and that was written in the New York Times in 1911. Chief chemist. Now, the same guy, because I've done some research on this clown, because he's an ass clown, was also the same guy who was just, him and another guy from the American Medical Association hated alternative medicine, whatever alternative means. They hated it. Railed against it, hated it with a passion. So he became a pretty big lobbyist, and the whole thing's corrupt as the day is long, man. And I got some other articles on here, but I found it funny because the science said this is in 1911 that the equator would freeze over, and he was a chief chemist at the agriculture department, who later on became a big lobbyist, and I can't remember what firm, but just like, isn't that funny? Apparently there's a movie out there. I hadn't read this or watched it, but apparently there's a movie out there about the Kellogg guy who I've referred to on numerous occasions, the scumbag that guy is. It's called The Road to Wellville. I got to watch this. The Road to Wellville. Now, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. A story about the ins and outs of one unusual health facility run by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. Anthony Hopkins plays him. So remember The Road to Wellville, and we remember the chief. There was some chick that was working on behalf of Kellogg who turned out to be not a good person, if that makes sense. Anyway, it was very interesting. All right. So I want to go into, I thought this was pretty interesting. Appreciate y'all being here. Angie, we're going to bash on Germany, man, because Germany is a cluster, if you know what I'm saying. So let's check this out. Germany electricity prices spiraling out of control. Blackouts, unrest loom. They've tripled since 2000. And check this out. 41 cents a kilowatt hour in Germany. That's their electricity price. 41 cents. Oh, thanks, babe. 41 cents a kilowatt hour. Now, whatever that says, I can't read it. I just know Deutsch and something else and something else. It looks like, I don't know, that looks pretty evil. Whatever that says, for Deutsche, for Deutschland. Anyway, 41 cents a kilowatt hour. All right. Changing over to sun and wind energy would only cost, they promise only cost €1 a month. Germany's former environmental minister, Jürgen Tritton once promised. All we had to do is accept the master plan. Today, the swindle is uncovering and may be too late. As Helmut Bauer posted the most recent chart depicting Germany's electricity rates for end consumers, 41 cents a kilowatt hour. Woo, Nelly! What a mess. They've reached 41 cents a kilowatt hour. It's about to get much worse, especially for the people who can least afford it. But German chancellor says we're not going to fire on demonstrators. Now, I don't know if you saw my community tab yesterday where I showed the Hitler wannabe, who is the finance minister, I think, saying, you guys over there, and he's doing like this, like his Nazi salute. He's like, you guys over there is crazy, dude. You guys over there don't deserve this. Yeah, it's like, dude, you guys are right out of the freaking book, man. It's like he's going like this. You guys over there. And he has hair all kind of going. It's like, dude, you guys are nuts up there. So Germany kissed my big fat behind. And as my mom's maiden name was Deichmann, I'm part of the clan. So I can say that about my people. But they suck, dude. And they can. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. So check this out, though. And Germany just sucks, man. There's all because we bailed them out. We've always bailed these fools out. You know what I'm saying? Need to not do that anymore.
We need to say, no, pull our troops out of Germany. If I tell you, Trump should run against it, the first thing we're doing is removing everybody from Germany. Germany, you're on your own. Sorry, you're on your own. If you want to refocus on freaking Japan, that's fine. But Germany, you're on your own. Screw you guys. I tell you, this infuriates me. What they're doing to their people is infuriating. And they can all kiss my big fat behind. All right, so let's, I know it's professional. Don't care. All right, yeah, I'm fired up today because anytime I see, because I wanted to show you guys something here. Let's take a look at your old buddy Josh's electricity bill, shall we? This is from my most recent statement. Pretty cool. All right, so I got the, now remember, we averaged 121 kilowatt hours per day. That's a pretty expensive, that's a pretty big load. All right, 121 kilowatt hours per day in old Shea Scanlon. And we averaged about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. All right, so our electricity price itself was about $200 for 121 kilowatt hours a day. Now remember, we heat our house with natural gas. So in the wintertime, our electricity goes down because we have natural gas to heat our home. In the summertime, we air condition it because it's freaking hot in Georgia. I know it's crazy. We use air conditioning, which is run by electricity. All right, so natural gas, we have a natural gas stove, but our oven isn't natural gas. Our oven is electricity. We cook. I usually grill 4 to 5 times a week. And I've been getting my Ninja Foodie lately, and that doesn't take a big load, so that's good. But either way, so the air condition, that's always on, basically. Running a fan, that's not much. Just turn your fans off and you leave the room. I mean, the fan doesn't, my wife seems to think it keeps the air down. No, it doesn't. It doesn't take a big load. I think the horsepower, and that's probably a quarter of a horsepower, if even that, to run that fan. So it's not a big load, but if you have fans on all the time, that's a big load. I mean, there's no reason to do that. It's a waste of electricity. Don't leave your TVs on. It's stupid. Anyway, long story short, but the air conditioner is a big one. Fridge, the stove is a big one. So all these things we use quite a bit in the summertime. In the wintertime, it goes down significantly because, again, we use natural gas. All right, but anyway, so I just looked at it. I said, wow. And that's after we got significant insulation. We got double pane windows. We've done everything: insulation, double pane windows, LED lights. You know what I'm saying? So we've done a lot to rectify wasting of and our house only was built in 2012, so it was a pretty well designed house in terms of not a lot of gaps in there and whatnot. And yet we're still using that 100 kilowatt hours a day. Anyway, so the point being, it's cost me 8 cents. 8 cents. So why do you think these guys are doing that? High electricity prices. Because they don't want you in a big house with big families. They don't, man. You can see this a mile away. Now think about it. Now we're going to plug in a freaking EV. I mean, the whole thing it's a house of cards that's going to fall. I'm going to share with you something even uglier here in just a second. And at the good old US of A, I'm paying 8 cents a kilowatt hour. And you know that Georgia is the only place that has a new nuclear power plant going up? Just thought I'd share that with you. And that's actually down from last year. So my kilowatt hour usage is down from last July, which is good. And I imagine it'll go down more because the girls are out and they're not going to be drying their hair and all that crap. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime you dry your hair, that's a big load. So I just thought that was interesting. But it gets better. You guys ready to check this out? So we know Germany's a basket case. They got and I'm just going to share some of the other stuff here. So we know that Germany's 41 cents a kilowatt hour. All right, I want to show you this right here. This is funny. 60% of Germany in energy poverty. Remember, Germany, the reason I'm picking on Germany is because this isn't small potatoes country. Their economy is the third largest in the world, man. So here we got our farting unicorn, solar panels. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, this was funny. Solar briefly overtook coal, then done. If only those lazy engineers would figure out how to keep the solar panels working at night. But I thought this was funny. I just got to read this real quick. Right here, this idiot from the progressive think tank, the Australia Institute, said, coal still dominates the grid during the evening peak when solar sources are no longer available. But that was solvable through a transformation across the energy grid. We can make more energy on the rooftops in our communities. We can plug in more large-scale renewables, but we need a grid that can accommodate that. So he's basically saying, just plug it in, man. We'll plug it in. There's something. All you got. Did you know electricity comes from that outlet in the wall? All you can do is plug it in. The magic electricity. It just shows up. It's amazing. We're not doing the best and brightest, man. Literally, or they're either stupid. Well, I think they're both idiots and evil at the same point. All right, so let's go to. Oops, I keep wanting to hit this right here. All right, so we're gonna go to Germany. 60% of Germany is in energy poverty. Look at that. Part of the population is no longer able to save. The savings bank expects that soon 60% of households will have no money left over the end of the month to put something on the high edge, whatever that is. The Greens are calling for an interest rate cap for overdraft facilities. The majority of Germans are increasingly reaching their financial limits due to high inflation. The part of the population will no longer be able to save. All right, I just find that funny. Some German politicians appear to be preparing for war against their own citizens. Germany is not the only European nation which is treating its citizens with contempt. We talk about Dutch farmers. I once asked Nigel Farage, who we like, UKIP, why I don't think UKIP's not around anymore, why European politics is so messed up. His answer was partly proportional representative system. Yeah, I completely agree. Proportional looks great on the surface because even voters for minority parties have a chance to receive some representation. The reality is different. What proportional representation does is concentrate all political powers in the hands of a permanent leader class, 100%. Anyway, so that was interesting. We got more. It's going to get even funner here. I find this funny. Surface stations report is worse than we thought. So they're basically giving us our global warming. They're putting a thermometer basically in the butt of an airplane. Essentially, they're saying, let's put a thermometer on a tarmac and have all these airplanes running by it, and that'll be a representative of what the Earth is doing. All right, let's keep going here. Europe's power crisis overtaking gas crisis. This is crazy. So this is all of Europe. Oh boy, the broken electricity market. This is from Tamara Energy. Europe's is now facing a parallel gas and power crisis. The influence of the rising cost of gas driving up power prices is well understood. What is receiving less attention is a rapidly accelerating power crisis, which is driving up a renewed surge in gas prices. Europe's parallel power crisis has gathered pace along the summer, being driven by nuclear availability issues. I think like a third or a half of France's nuclear power plants are offline. They have droughts in these rivers where they can't move coal. It's crazy. Depleted hydro levels and declining thermal output due to fuel excess issues and plant closures. Power prices across Europe are surging to record levels, now materially outstripping the rise in gas prices. Acute power tightness across Europe has been a key factor dragging up forward prices. All right, so remember, what happened in England, we just got numbers in England that their GDP fell 11% in 2020. All right, wait how good it gets when there's no electricity. Never mind energy as a whole for transportation, all that. It's going to be great. There's a method to the madness here, my friends. There's a method to my madness, how it reflects with your portfolio, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I actually said, man, this looks kind of dastardly. All right, so I want to share with you something else here. So here's my man, Michael Yon over at Locals. Big fan of this guy. Switzerland preparing for energy riots. German home energy. From a friend I have, an army bud that retired there, his electricity bill just went up from $150 to $780. Whoa. Europe is dead man walking. The family, this is Eva, whatever that is. This family of five is going from a 290 euro energy bill to a 930 energy bill in November. This is just one example of what many households in the Netherlands are facing. It's all completely unnecessary, 100%. And then this guy writes in, he has an army bud that retired to Germany, and his electric bill went from 150 to 780. Crazy dudes. And I think, was it Michael who had the thing on, hold on just a second, about, yeah, right there. UK economy shrank by 11%. I can't remember. NASA astronaut to join Russians on Soyuz rocket. Yeah, hold your breath. He had a good thing. I'm not going to find it. All right. Good times. So I've been thinking about this, and then I thought about in relation to this article right here. I said, man, what does this mean? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. So here's China. So we all know the China economy is collapsing. In fact, where did I see that? There's a video. It was a video that my man Earl Grey posted on his YouTube thing, I think, about the Chinese just taking down this, freaking apartment complex in one of their ghost towns. It was stunning. You're like sitting there thinking, I mean, literally, it's crazy. And it's weird too, because it actually fell over. It didn't implode like 9/11 did. It actually fell over. And you're like, I don't know, it just seems weird. Like, why would you push it over like that if you can just, like the guy who owned World Trade Center number 7, he said to pull it. And when you pull it, that means the building just falls on its own. It's actually kind of interesting, the mechanics behind that and the engineering. So I'm not sure why the Chinese didn't pull it where they just fell on itself, why they pushed it over like that. I don't know. I didn't, not all that interested in researching, but it's very, very interesting that they're literally tearing down. And some guy who posted the video said Keynesian economics at work. On a side note, I just want to say, so Milton Friedman was going through some socialist country, and he saw these people, using shovels to dig ditches or whatever, and he said, he said, why do you have all these guys using shovels? Why don't you employ them using the modern technology? He goes, because we need to create jobs. He goes, well, hell, if you need to create jobs, you should give them spoons instead of shovels. You see, so like this is what socialists do. It's a make work thing. Why give them shovels? They give them spoons. You give them plastic spoons even. They'll make work. Anyway, the point being is you're driving this third world country and they're like, all Cuban socialist crazy people. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're employed. Look at all these people that gainfully employed digging ditches. He goes, why don't you give them tractors? They're front loaders, I'm saying? Earth movers. Oh, no, we got to keep them employed. Well, in that case, give them spoons. And look, for all those who think I don't like Milton Friedman because I don't think the monetary phenomenon, or as inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon, or inflation is always and everywhere too much money chasing too few goods, I'm still a huge fanboy of Milton Friedman, man. Do not take me wrong there. But that was a great observation by that guy. All right, so anyway, let's check this out. We go over here. Chinese households, I chuckled here. Chinese shun debt and pile up savings, threatening global growth engine. Households downbeat as their prospects are retrenching, with consequences for local giants as well as multinationals. So we talk about Anna Luan. She's worried about the future. She's an internet business where she works, hasn't paid her salary in full since April. When city authorities locked down, we all know about the lockdown. She's also using some of that money to pay off her mortgage debt. So many companies are laying off people and cutting pay. Now I just want to save any spare cash I have. Anyway, so that's good. So here we got Chinese household loan to debt going from 2012. And you can, that's interesting. Good. Loan to deposit households. All right. Chinese households have plenty of reason to feel downbeat. The economy is slowing. Household wealth is taking a hit from falling home prices, and youth unemployment is at an all-time of almost 20%. What happens when youth are unemployed, especially young men? That's bad for the standing order of your government. They do not like young men being unemployed. That's just a fact. Why do you think they create wars? Why do you think they create mandates? You know what I'm saying? Because they want to deal with young men the easiest way. Ship them off over there or take them away, get rid of their testosterone so they don't riot and rebel. The easiest way to deal with freaking young men is to send them off to war, draft them. That is why wars happen all the time, because we got to kill the young men because they're unemployed and they're getting restless. Or we just take their testosterone and they'll just sit there like, Brave New World. All right, growth in household income in urban areas amounted to just 1.9% compared with 10.7% last year. Consumer spending slowed even faster. Oh my lands. Until recently, Chinese households were confident enough about their earning potential to borrow, boosting their spending even further. Okay, that's good. But check this out. Look at this idiot right here. Yeah, I'm pretty fired up today. Sorry. I'm trying not to be, but I don't care. A sign of changing attitudes towards debt. Bank of Communications Company drew criticism on social media after it posted a notice this month saying it planned to institute a penalty for borrowers who repay their mortgages early. They're going to put a penalty if you repay their mortgage early. This trend will last until the People's Bank of China reduces interest rates to discourage savings and encourage borrowing. House prices begin to rise meaningfully, and improving employment income revive confidence. Reducing interest rates to discourage savings and encourage borrowing. And that will basically make house prices rise again meaningfully, and it will improve employment and income receipt and income revive confidence. Yeah, really? See, having spent years clamping down on loosely regulated consumer lending as part of the campaign to reduce risk, the People's Bank of China isn't eager to see households piling on debt. It cut benchmark interest rates by a modest 10 basis points this week, the first reduction since January. However, the scope for significant easing is limited because the risk of destabilizing capital outflows as the Federal Reserve and other major banks are increasing, what I'm saying. But anyway, the point, I want to give us a gauge. Let's tell you, hold on just a second. I want to see what they're, I'm going to trading. That guy's an idiot who said that, and I'm going to share with you why. Let's just look at trading economics here. Now, this has lots of positive stuff here. U.S. factory growth weakened, weakest in 2 years. U.S. home sales lowest since 2016. Lots of negativity out there. Oil jumps 4%. All right, so I want to go to China. All right, we're going to go to their interest rates here. I think it's under money, or is it right? Interest right there, interest rates. So let's see what the Chinese interest rates have been over the last, 15, 20 years, shall we? All right, right there. Interesting. So this guy is saying that these rates are too high until they lower the rates. I mean, what's that? So if they don't lower the rates and discourage savings, they won't be able to grow their way out of a recession? Does this remind you of anything? So I'm going to pause for just a second. We got to lower rates to encourage borrowing, even though the lady just said she doesn't want to borrow anymore. What does that remind you guys of anything? Anything jump out at you guys? What that reminds you of anything? Because there's something we've seen this exact story not that long ago. We got lower interest rates to stimulate the economy and get people back to work and discourage savings, and that will make people borrow more, which will increase the velocity of money, which will make more growth happen. That sounds awful similar to something that tried again and failed for 30 years. What would that be? Who's got it? Who's got it here? No, not the situation we just went through. I'm talking, it was multi-decade, Angie. Multi-decades, the exact same scenario. Interesting, is it not? It's literally the same thing. It's crazy. And people are like, oh, yeah, idiots. Let's just lower interest rates. That'll increase the velocity of money. That'll get people borrowing and spending again, increasing growth. Oh, my goodness. Anybody? I'll tell you. I got to wait 15. We're on a 15-second delay. Right there. Right on. Japan. 100%. So they obviously never read, and one of y'all had told me about the book. I had never got it. Let me go over here and get it, by Richard Koo. One of the best books I've ever read, frankly. It really, it's in terms of economics. There's no other. This right here sealed the deal for me that I had what we've been taught in economics. I was never bought into the mainstream economics like Paul Krugman and all that, Paul Samuelson. If you have, I think I posted something earlier today on a paper I was reading about the Phillips curve, and they had all these freaking stupid things. I was like, this isn't economy. This is not economics. This is, dribble, I guess, for people trying to pat each other on the back, trying to sound smart. That's all there is to it. Anyway, the holy grail of macroeconomics. Japan's Great Recession is a balance sheet recession. You can lower interest rates all the way down to zero. Hell, in Japan, it's negative interest rates, and people aren't borrowing. Why? Because they said, I do not want to get holding that wet bag like what happened in 1990 when I was leveraged to the hilt. I can't go through that again. And now that's happening in China. And the same damn thing is happening in the United States. That's why the freaking velocity of money is so low. This isn't that hard to understand, man. People are paying down their debts, and everyone's like, oh, the credit card increase went up the highest. Yeah, it went up as a percentage point, yes. In terms of the overall household balance sheet, it's not a big deal. It's weird to me how people don't get this. But whatever, I get it. Negativity sells. All right, so I want to, anyway, point being is, here's my thought process. Europe is falling apart. China's falling apart. Japan's doomed. I mean, Japan's dead. And that isn't to freaking say these guys are bad countries. They're just going to stop. It just means none of these are oriented towards growth. Anytime you have people who are paying off debt as opposed to looking to borrow, are you paying off debt or are you looking to borrow? Would you be borrowing just because the interest rates are low? No, you wouldn't. I mean, some would. I get you. That's why these people say, don't pay off your mortgage. We're getting our house painted. So if you wonder what that noise is right there. We've been in this house for 10 years, never got it painted. Crazy. And when you live in the deep South, there's a lot of, dirt. It's like kind of if you live up near the salt water, you gotta take that off on occasion, because if you don't, it's gonna start rotting away. So he's pressure washer right now, so be quiet for just a second. Why don't you do that yourself, Josh? I did when we lived in New Jersey. I did it, and I freaking never doing it. If I can afford it, I'll never do it again. I did paint our house. I did pressure wash our house, and I'd rather not, frankly. I'd rather have somebody else do that and pay them. That's how it works. Yeah, right here, the Holy Grail of macroeconomics right on. Yeah, that's such a right there's Jeremy. He's looking at freaking. Yeah, I like Austrians. Keynesian silly. I like Austrians, except their appeal to free trade at all costs. I find free trade, that argument is now lost. Free trade works until it doesn't, and when it doesn't, you're screwed. I was listening to someone today or yesterday, and I don't know this to be true, but he's comparing the opium wars, how the Brits got China hooked on opiate that they were selling to the Chinese. He compared to how the Chinese does our pharmaceuticals, and Americans are all hooked on pharmaceuticals by big pharma that are manufactured in China. And I don't know that to be true or not, but I thought it was an interesting observation nonetheless. Ooh, that's pretty interesting there. So free trade works until it doesn't, and as such, my thing is, I said this literally at the beginning of my YouTube channel, probably one of my first 10 videos, about the lack of domestically produced steel. I said, yeah, these large power transformers, LPTs, if the United States is relying on China to bring these to us, and it doesn't happen overnight, and China says, no, we're not going to do that, we're going to be in a world of hurt. It sounds great, free trade on paper, until it doesn't work. Now, with no free trade, that's not good either. I don't want everything. You don't want to be a freaking, I think the free trade like the United States has done with these unique states that are supposedly operating independently of each other in a common cause. That's the way to do it right there. But even that's now gone, when you can basically put people on the border to say you can't come to Maine or you can't come to Massachusetts unless you have a vax card. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, so I 100%, Bastiat, freaking Mises, Hayek, without question, Karl Menger. I mean, those are my men, I'm saying, Henry Hazlitt, but Murray Rothbard, and I'm missing one in particularly, Mises, Rothbard. And I've gone to the Mises Institute down in Auburn, Alabama for a couple sessions down there. I'm a huge fan of Austrian School of Economics. I mean, just look at my freaking shelf back there. But the commitment to free trade, I find a little bit fanciful, if that makes sense. Anyway, so when the interest rates are low, people are going to say, oh man, you know something? I'm going to go borrow. And all these people, say, oh, don't pay down. Like this guy, Thomas P. on my YouTube channel is like, Josh, you're leading people astray by telling them to pay off their mortgage. They should invest. Investments do better according to basic math and history. And I just said, oh, I like when you use basic math and history as your basic math and history. That's how you're going to do your investments. Okay. And he was like really upset with me. He's like, how dare you tell people not to pay off their mortgage, I'm like, man, how much equity do you have in your home? If he has no equity, if he has any equity, I said, why aren't you borrowing against your home,
and borrow the whole thing and invest. Why would you not do that? You know what I'm saying? It's silly. I just all right. So I wanted to share this with you right there, which was pretty interesting. And just as a side note, I still find this funny right quick. After all the money we spent, all the resources we paid. Now, see how it says renewable energy. All right. Fools are going to mistake that. And they're going to look at this chart and they're going to say, look at that. Renewable energy in the United States. 9.2% of all of our energy generation is from renewables. That's what a fool will say. Yes, I'm saying a fool because a fool is someone who doesn't actually look a little bit deeper. They're going to say not renewables, from wind. 9.2 of all of our energy generation is from wind. Oh my goodness. Because they'll say renewable energy. Look at that, renewable energy. We got nice, color chart. Look at that. It's great. And they won't read. They'll say renewable energy in the United States. 9.2 comes from wind. 6.3 comes from hydro, which is basically hydro stuck. It's not moving more. It's not, it could go less, but it's not going more. Solar is only 2.8. Biomass is 1.3, and geothermal, nothing. All right. So anyway, but notice this little thing is probably important to realize. Renewable energy generates about 20% of all U.S. electricity. All right, so just because it generates that, how much of that is electricity? We're not talking about energy, we're talking about electricity. How much of that 20% electricity can we rely on at night? It matters. I don't care if renewable energy generates 100% of U.S. electricity. If we don't have the storage, it doesn't freaking matter. It matters not. And we don't have the storage. And before you go and talk to me about a Tesla Powerwall, I was just reading an article about that last night. I said, that doesn't sound that good. I mean, for emergency situations, great. But that's no big deal. You're going to people actually literally think they're going to run an economy on a Tesla Powerwall. I was like, this is silly. Silly. I think it's worse than silly. Anyway, so how much money and freaking land mass have we committed to this stuff? And yet still only 2.8% of energy, of electricity generation now is from solar. The whole thing's stupid. Wind is so evil. Check this out. I was listening to, one second. It was, I got to find it. That's, can't remember the website. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to remember the website. Anyway, so this guy, I was emailing this guy about why did wind turbines, what the hell they do in Maine? And he told me, he said in 2003, they passed a law that basically gave the wind companies the ability to pick where they wanted the most favorable places to put their wind turbines. And they said, we're going to put them here, we're going to put them there. And like, you couldn't do anything about it as a local community. I said, and that's a law that they passed in Maine. And they all had incentives, the politicians, from the wind. The big wind bought these people out hook, line, and sinker. And they sold their constituents to the wind, to big wind. Now, if you think I'm a fan of big oil, you're freaking nuts, dude. I know about the Rockefellers. I know how evil these clowns are, 100%. I'm not a fan of them either. Not a fan of big oil, not in the least. But the issue is, until we get some massive amounts of nuclear going on, you know what I'm saying? What else are we going to do? I mean, big oil. I don't like those guys. I don't like big wind. But the facts are, I like to live with electricity, man. I like reliable electricity, and wind's not going to do it. And it's unfortunately is by big oil by default. But a big oil is freaking corrupt as all can be, without question. But what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I mean, my thought process is nuclear, but even nuclear has some issues with the. I'm thinking France. One of the issues they have is that the rivers so low they don't have enough water to cool the reactors or something like that. So that's having a hard time there. And I'm like, that's a problem. That's a problem. So there's not this pie in the sky that says nuclear is going to be the all, omnipresent freaking solution to everything, because there could still be issues there. I'm not worried about Chernobyl. I'm not worried about Fukushima, not in the least. I am worried about what happens if you run out of electricity because you don't have ability to cool these things. I'm just not. But that's and then on top of that, we're not building any nuclear power plants. So it's right now we're at the bequest of of big oil, essentially, and that's not a good place to be. We should never have allowed ourselves to be here. Ideally, we all have individual rooftop solar panels with batteries. Ideally, that's what we should all have for electricity. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need a pretty big array. I get it. But maybe in the future, what we do is that maybe don't have such a big house and instead have a bigger electricity generation by solar, if that makes sense, with battery backups. You know what I'm saying? And you can be grid tied. Just again, have the transfer switch. That way, when the grid goes down, you can turn off, so you're not going to shock a lineman who's out there trying to hook you back up. Anyway, point being, I got no problem with being grid tied, none the least. But if you're going to be off grid, you need to have battery banks, and a lot of people buy solar and they don't have batteries. And that's a mistake, I think. I think you should have batteries if you're going to do that. That way you can generate your own electricity when the nighttime comes and without being tied to the grid. Because the point being is you got to keep your fridge stocked and your freezers and all that. All right. Oh, yeah, the wind farms. What is it? I got to find the name of that website, man. It's hold on just a second. And then, but I'm telling you, I'm going to share with you what I think this has to do with our portfolios. All right, hold on. I'm going to find this. Nope. Maybe I won't find it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. Well, Citizens Task Force. There it is. All right, here we go. Sweet. This is the windtaskforce.org. windtaskforce.org. And my man says, in a nutshell, what happened is that back in 2003, the legislature created the Maine Wind Energy Act. And he gives the thing for it. The act was written by various legislators. Is never written by the legislators. It's always written by the lobbyists. Always remember that. The legislators aren't writing these things. They're farming out to their lobbyists. So the act was written by various lobbyists, almost all who had a stake in seeing wind development come to fruition. The act states that wind energy, quote, wind energy is an economically feasible, large-scale, this is 2003, it's an economically feasible, large-scale energy resource that does not rely on fossil fuel combustion or nuclear fission, thereby displacing electrical energy provided by these other sources and avoiding air pollution, waste disposal, and hazards to human health from emissions, waste, and byproducts. Wind developers were then invited to draw on a map the areas they most wanted to develop, and those areas were legally binding as designated as expedited wind permitting area. And this is still the law in Maine. Thousands of citizens have worked to educate Maine about the reality of wind energy and have opposed these projects with limited success. Freaking scumbags, man. Oh, grid tie benefits you if I can get 8 cents a kilowatt hour, man. That's just a fact. Brian says grid tie doesn't benefit you. Yeah, it does. Unless you have a big battery bank. If you're going off grid, you have a huge battery bank, or you can do like my man, hackyoursolar.com. I'm drawing a blank that dude's name. I interviewed him 3 years or 4 years ago. Hackmysolar.com. I just forgot the guy's name. And he has everything. He's got propane. He's got solar. I think he's got small wind. What else? He got a couple other things up there. I think he's got a heat pump. I can't remember. But anyway, he's got everything up there. And he's in Tennessee. And so he's completely off grid. But he's got a number of different things to run his thing. And he's only got, I think it's him, his wife, and his daughter. And I think his daughter since moved out. So basically him and his wife. That's it. Yeah, if you have other sources of electricity generation other than just relying on a stupid solar panel, but there is fossil fuel generation there. And I got no qualm with that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, I like the convenience of being grid tied. I do. It's nice to be able to turn the thing on and I got air conditioning. It's fantastic. You can always go without electricity, man. 100%. Yeah, I got no qualm with that, man. After having gone through, my man Brian says, how do you like Cali paint to remove lawns? You shouldn't have lawns in the desert. I'm sorry, you shouldn't. That's dumb. People have lawns in Phoenix. That's stupid. I'm sure Las Vegas is the same thing. It's not natural. It's
That is where human beings do cause environmental issues. That's a fact. I don't believe that environment is being ruined by CO2. I think it's stupid, but we're certainly ruining the environment when we plant grass in desert areas. That's dumb. And again, I was talking to somebody the other day about almonds. I love almonds. In California, I think it's 80% of the world's almonds come from California. And almond trees, my understanding is it takes a hell of a lot of water for almond trees. Well, California is high desert, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably not a good idea to grow almonds in California because if they take a huge water resource, California doesn't have that much water naturally. And that doesn't make sense to me. And now that's just, it's kind of like when we lived in Phoenix and they used to do the irrigation. So the Mormons used to control the Phoenix in Arizona because the Mormons kind of grew into there from Utah and whatnot. And the Mormons who lived in downtown Phoenix, they had these irrigation things where they lived. It's cool. I liked it. It was fun. It wasn't fun. But what would happen is once or twice a month at 3 a.m., you have to go in your backyard and you have to turn on this valve so you can literally flood your backyard with the irrigation, probably from the Colorado River. Anyway, so what would happen is you would get fined if you forgot to turn off it, but pretty significant fine, by the way, if you forgot to turn off your valve. And there'd actually be people who would do that for a living. So if you go on vacay, you pay some guy a pretty significant amount of money to come turn your valve on and turn off. Anyways, that would be irrigation. What would happen is that would allow your grass to grow, obviously, but obviously we had pomegranate trees, grapefruit trees, orange trees. It was fantastic. But it's a desert. Shouldn't have grass in the desert. Doesn't make any sense. And so that's an environmental degradation from human beings for sure. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, the point being was the Mormons used to do that because there's cotton was such a big part of Phoenix, of Arizona's agriculture and done by the Mormon farmers. And was it cotton, copper? I always forget the C's. Someone here before told me this, like 5 C's of cotton, copper, a couple other things I forgot from Arizona. 5 C's of agriculture: copper, cotton. Who else can remember that? I can't remember. Anyway, the point being is you shouldn't be watering that. It doesn't make any sense. And so if California says, yeah, that's what I was going to say too. So I went down to my water treatment plant. They showed you this visual of when people turn on their sprinklers. Exactly. You should use native plants in your areas. 100%. Yeah, David, those people drive up the wall. But you'd see this huge increase of potable water to water your grass, which is a weed. I mean, look, I don't do it very often. I get very upset when I see water being wasted. Always have. Anyway, so here you don't really need to water it anyway because I'm in the deep south. But what happens is you see it flat, then about 2 in the morning, it jump up and stay like that till about 10 in the morning, then fall back down until the nighttime comes. And he said that's from the people watering their grass, their lawns. I said, that's such a freaking waste, dude. This is potable water. And I said, water that we use for cleaning, for hygiene, all that. I said, drinking. Now, I don't like all the crap they put in there. I mean, fluoride's a freaking clown show. Talk about a scam, fluoride in there. You know what I'm saying? They put fluoride, they put chlorine in there, a couple other things I can't remember. All kinds of crap in your water, man. That's why you got to get some kind of filter to move all that stuff out. It's gonna be a tough road though, because everything you drink is gonna have that crap in there, other than the stuff you drink specifically from your filtered water. But basically, it'd be tough to maintain not taking fluoride into your water. Anyway, long story short, so it's shoop, 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 and I'm like, and this is in Georgia, man. You know what I'm saying? And the cost to freaking do all this to water your plants. And then it occurred to me too. I said, how good can putting fluoride in the water be good for your grass? And I was like, I wonder when the water evaporates, does the fluoride evaporate with it? So when it rains, is it spitting down fluoridated water back on us, or is it fluoride? I don't know. Does anyone know, like, when it evaporates? So it's fluoridated water, fluoridated, whatever it's called, water. When it evaporates, does the evaporation separate the fluoride from the and the chlorine and stuff, from the greenhouse gases and the water vapor, if that makes sense? I don't know. Anyway, but that's an interesting thing because, like, wait a second, I don't want that fluoride. Why would you want fluoride on your water? It can't be good. It can't be good agriculturally to have all this fluoridated water in our food. You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting. Comments remind me of people that say we don't need pets. I don't understand. Your grass loves fluoride water. Astroturf. 100%. Oh, Marty, don't get me started, man. Don't you live in New Jersey, right? Yeah, I think you do. I tell you, man. Ooh, I try to bite my tongue on that because I got a lot of golfers who are I would consider them friends of mine. But I was like, dude, you should not have golf courses in Arizona and Nevada. You shouldn't do that. um, okay, so my man says, Carl, I believe fluoride is a slight variation of fluorine, which does disperse into the air. So when it rains back down, your thought process is the fluoride is gone. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah. Well, if you look at just look at a thing of toothpaste. It says if you swallow this, contact CDC. I mean, whoa, Dwayne Wade accused of going over water budget. It's like Al Gore, man. Remember Al Gore? He's like, oh no, I got solar panels has used like 10,000 kilowatt hours. I can't remember. All right. So anyway, point being is, what does this have to? All this stuff is negative. So I was thinking, I said, shouldn't I just get out of the market? You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't I just get out and avoid all this crap? Because I really am worried about the winter coming. And look, I'm not immune from the day-to-day worries and stuff. And then it occurred to me, hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, huh, of all the ugly stepchildren, who's the most handsome of them? US of A, baby. We are the most handsome of the ugly stepchildren. Of all the redheaded stepchilds, and if you're any redheads out there, I apologize. We are the most handsome of them. Thus, what do American companies do when everybody else is going to hell in a handbasket? We are still crushing, if that makes sense. Which is why I never bought internet. I haven't owned international stocks in many years. And if you want to, that's fine. I don't not recommend it. I do what people got to do what they do, but I have none. I do it. Actually, that's not true. We own a couple of shares of Nintendo. But anyway, long story short, as I said, so if all the things are going to hell in a handbasket in Europe, China, Japan's a nightmare, you know what I'm saying? Who knows what the hell's going on in South Korea. We're still going to be chugging along. And the fact that our dollar is very valuable, actually, I haven't looked at the dollar in a week or so. Let's see the US dollar versus the euro. Let's see. We at parity yet? Oh, yes, we are. Look at that. Look at that. If that's not a sign of things to come, I don't know what it is. I could be 100% wrong. But the point being is, look at that. We're back to parity. A dollar. Look at that, dudes. That's freaking nuts. USA in your face, Canada. In your face. Look at that. I love America. Even our idiot in charge, I love it. America kicks ass. We got the natural resources. We got the ingenuity. We got the American work ethic, which we still have. Look, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people not where I get all that. I'm sorry. A good amount of Americans are still ass kickers, man. That's just, we love it. We have more guns in America than probably any other army in the world, just from private citizens. I know it's not true about a rifle behind every blade of grass, but that as long as the thought process is out there in the vernacular, that's all we need. You know what I'm saying? The likelihood of being invaded, not going to happen. I was listening to my man Dave Coleman, who was interviewing John Waters, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of John Waters from Ireland. He wrote "Bring Us Back Our Old Roads" or something like that. I can't remember, but it's freaking. The Irish people can write; they just have that in their heads. It's nuts how well they write. Anyway, so Dave Cullen's interviewing John, and he's talking about just like Ireland. This guy had run kind of like a moderate lefty kind of thing, who's a prime minister, and then when he won, he's all of a sudden saying, "Okay, now we're cracking down on everything because that's what the EU is telling me to do, and you can't criticize the government. We're basically going to put people in your houses. Essentially, we're going to have a referendum on." You're guaranteed. The whole thing is nuts. It's insanity. It's falling apart. It's no different than China. You can't criticize the government. It's like everyone said China. I'm like, look at what's going on in Ireland, dude. And never mind UK and all that. It's nuts. You can't. You hear about the UK? Some guy offensive tweet about the 57 flavors, and now he's in jail. So literally the freaking cops went and arrested him because someone was offended by the 57 flavors. He's in jail. I said, okay, so China's a bad guy. I'm sick of this crap. The point being is that that's probably not going to happen in the United States. I mean, anything could happen, I grant you. Probably not. The 57 flavors people have way overblown it. They've done too much. People are hating on these people. There's no other way around that. They've gone too far. Everybody knows this, and as such, I'm not too worried about that so much anymore. But I am worried about squishy Republicans. You know what I'm saying? So the squishy Republicans are like, well, we're against the 57 flavors, but if it's 35 flavors, it's okay. If you know what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, no, that's not what we're trying to do here, man. And the long story short is I think, and I read about some idiot in Colorado who switched the Democrats from the Republicans. He's like, the Republicans, they've lost me on January 6th. I was with them until January 6th. I said, anyway, the point being is I don't see that happening in America, what's happening in Europe. I mean, Europe is a basket case. We know that is inevitable for Europe to fall. There's just no other way around it. And it's inevitable for us to fall too, but it's going to take longer because we still kick ass. We still kick ass, dudes. We still pay 8 cents a kilowatt hour. We still freaking get fired up when you got to pay more than $4 the price of gasoline. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to be mandated to buy EVs. We're not. I mean, they can try, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to get through. Now, they might say we're going to raise your electricity bill, gradually. But, I'm looking right now, 8 cents a kilowatt hour here in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So anything can happen. But anyway, so I was sitting there last night. I said, man, I should probably wake up and sell everything. I said, and I just, cooler heads prevail. I said, no, we are still the Tina baby. There is no alternative. It's America bust. Because America kicks ass. Oh, you sound like a nationalist. You damn right. Damn right. Screw all those other people over there in Europe, man. Yeah, they're going to come begging for us. Say, America, bail us out. And we're going to say, Sniffy Joe? Oh, maybe not. Anyway, all right. So, point being is, if we are still the best looking redhead stepchild, that's still the place to be. Hard to imagine our portfolios falling off a crater like 50%. It could happen. And so I said, everybody, what if that did happen? What if you're down 50% and you have no guaranteed income coming in, i.e., you lost your job? This is exactly what happened in 2008, my friends. I don't know why people forget this. In 2008, not only did you lose your job, your portfolio was down 57% in the S&P 500. 57, or the total stock index, but it's over 50% in 2008. It's actually from October 2007 to March 9th of 2009. Many people lost their job. Their portfolios are down 50% if they're all in equities. And on top of that, their houses were underwater. I can't imagine a situation that bad happening again. I just can't. I absolutely could be wrong. I can't see it. And even if that were to happen, for me at least, if I'm down 50% in my portfolio, I lose all my income and my house goes down, 30%. I'm still have tons of equity. Tons of equity. Will I be able to tap into it easily? Well, that's why I get a home equity line while you're employed. That way you can deploy it before it's needed. You see what I'm saying? Now, will you be guaranteed to be able to tap into that? Well, we saw what happened in 2008, that USAA, for instance, was reneging on home equity lines. But even a 30% decline in the housing market isn't going to make you be at 100% loan to value for a lot of people, because how much has gone up in the last 5 years. A 30% decline, unless you've been refinancing it and selling, so what people used to, I remember this like it was yesterday. People refinance their homes, use the money to go on cruises. People refinance their homes, use the money to buy a new car. People refinance their homes to buy second properties at Smith Mountain Lake. I remember like it was yesterday. And so now they're heavily leveraged, but it's all in their home, and their homes kept going up in value. They're like, I can't go wrong. And then, whoop. So now all of a sudden they're down below, they're underwater. They have more debt than equity in their home, and they have an equity line of credit on top of that, and they can no longer have access to the equity line because they're maxed out. And the bank says, hey, man, we're pulling we can't really call the loan necessarily, but we cannot allow you to borrow anymore. And when you pay it down, we're going to reduce your line amount. That's what USAA did. So basically, if you had $50,000 line of credit, and now you had $50,000 against it. The minute you paid it down to $45,000 line of credit, they dropped the line to $45,000. So you had no borrowing capacity anymore on your equity line. So for me, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, let's say I'm down 50% in my portfolio. I don't see that happen. Let's just say I am. All right. And let's just say my income stops. I got no more income. Everyone bans me on YouTube because I didn't warn them about the inevitable. And they should have bought gold and all this. And they say, you suck. They throw rotten tomatoes and all that. All right. So I got no more income. I got 50% decline in my portfolio. And my house drops by 30% in value. Well, even then, I still got tons of equity. And I still got a home equity line of credit I can tap into because they're not going to, the likelihood of the bank pulling my equity line of credit down is not going to be there because I have so much equity built up, if that makes sense. And that was the lesson from 2008. You have to have the ability to draw cash in which to pay the bills. You see what I'm saying? Ideally, you want cash. I don't keep any cash. I mean, I keep a little bit, not much. I need to keep like $5,000 of cash. That's it. Everything I have is in my brokerage account. That's just my emergency fund in my brokerage account. I just funnel $2,000 every 2 weeks, $2,000 every 2 weeks to VTI, and come hell or high water, if I need have an emergency, I'm selling that puppy. You know what I'm saying? I believe in the markets. I believe in the capital markets. So for me, I'm like, all right, worst case scenarios, lose my income, markets fall 50%, house falls 30%. I have a home equity line of credit over here. I still would be able to take whatever 50% I have left in my portfolio to sell if I needed to pay my mortgage, for a good couple more years until that sucker's paid off. And then, we'll have to dig ditches or something. I don't know, but that's the worst case scenario. I'm only 52. My wife's 48. I'm in there. So I'm not doing anything. Should you? I don't know. Talked to a guy the other day, many people. I said, look, I wouldn't do anything. Like, hey, I just sold my house or I just rolled my 401k over. Should I deploy it now? And I'm like, I wouldn't. If I just retired or about ready to retire, I just wait to see how the winter shakes out. Because even though we're the best looking of the redhead stepchilds, we're still redhead stepchild. You see what I'm saying? And as such, many people own American stocks who are not in America. So the Chinese, the Europeans and whatnot. If things get dicey for them, they will have to sell some shares in which to pay bills and debts and whatnot. And you could easily see a decline in the markets, 30% or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that might not happen, but for my soon-to-be or recently retirees, I said, I just wait till wintertime is over because this wintertime, it could get ugly, and it might not. I don't know, but it could. And so I just said, why not? What are you gonna miss? 15% upside. If worst case scenario, if you're out of the market, you just retired, and you're like, I'm just gonna hang tight until spring. All right, let's say the markets go up 15%. All right, that sucks, but you could see a whole lot more than downside. And so I just hang tight, if that makes sense. All right. Let's see what we're doing here. Yeah, 100%, Jeff. 100%. Get your home equity line of credit in place while you still have a job. Absolutely. Good luck getting one post departure. Could not agree more. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, just at the end of the day, I was at, I'll go to Costco tomorrow, load up some ground beef. I was at Lowe's the other day buying some paint. I mean, just the economy as a whole, the only way the economy as a whole stops is if we have no access to energy. And I can't imagine even the idiots in charge of the Democratic Party or the Uniparty will allow that to happen. I don't see it happening. I don't think they're that stupid. If you don't have access to energy, it shuts down. And then we're going to see what might happen this winter in Europe. And I'm not hoping for it, but I'm interested because that might shine a light to say, something, Sniffy, did you hear that Sniffy Joe? I read this in Epic Times. Apparently, he just approved the biggest lease of oil and gas offshore leasing there is. Now, if Trump would have done that, it would have been hell on earth. But because Sniffy Joe's doing it, like no one pays any attention. It's just funny how that works. Like, Sniffy Joe approving the biggest leases of oil and gas off in the waters offshore. No one says a thing. I just found it funny. All right. I just want to buy another place in. I want to buy another place in cash next to. Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. That's me too. Interesting. Q Humor says electricity cheaper in Georgia than Tennessee. Interesting, because everyone's like, I gotta go to Tennessee, and someone knows what I'm talking about there in South Texas. I gotta go to Tennessee because Tennessee is so much cheaper. There's no income tax in Tennessee. It's so much cheaper. Tennessee has a high sales tax there in South Texas. She knows who I'm talking to. Yeah.
Yeah, high sales tax, higher electricity, instead of cute humor. Huh? In Georgia, if you're 65 and older, the first 65,000 bucks you earn, you have not earned the first $65,000 of income is tax free. Huh? Huh? Your husband and wife, $130,000 if you're 65 and older, tax free. If you're 62, I want to say it's 30,000 bucks each or something like that. I can't remember, but there's significant tax benefits living here in the great state of Georgia. Now, Tennessee is freaking insanely gorgeous. I love Tennessee. I like Tennessee better than I like Georgia in terms of the natural beauty of it all. But my goodness, don't go to Tennessee because it's state income tax free. I mean, look, it's a Tennessee kicks ass. The no two ways around it. But Georgia is awesome too. I've done videos. So someone said, where about Georgia. I've done tons of videos on where to go to Georgia, Clarksville. They had a northeastern part of Georgia. Like if you go north of me, it's going to be Blue Ridge, where Fritz Gilbert lives. You go this way, Helen, Clarksville. I think I've done videos in these towns. Freaking some will kick ass. You go this way, you're getting a Dalton. That didn't do much for me, but Ringgold, Dalton, and then if you go south, there's a couple of towns I did videos on that were fantastic. A couple of towns I was surprised how much I did not like. Noonan, Georgia. I think that's not cheap though in Noonan, Georgia. But anyway, there's so many. Now I'm not a fan of like Macon down there. It's too flat, and it's just too doggone hot, man. Hot and humid down there. So it's like Florida without being close to the water, if that makes sense. I couldn't handle that. Macon, but the houses down there are cheap as can be. I just don't like it. There's no other way around that. It's not for me. Delaware is fantastic for retirement. I mean, Delaware kicks ass. I mean, at least in terms of the basic retirement, income tax, property tax, sales tax. Delaware is literally in my probably top 5, frankly, of all states in the United States. And you're getting a lot of people moving in from Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey into Delaware. So while Delaware is not going to be a red state anytime soon, there's like 2 or 3 counties in Delaware. That's it. And one county is pretty red. I forgot which one it was, but Delaware kicks ass, man. Don't overlook Delaware. It's a nice state. It's like Maryland with just cheaper. And I think the politics are a little. But now Maryland, don't get me wrong, Maryland's just like any other state, man. You get out of the urban areas of Montgomery County and Baltimore, Maryland is freaking right wing. I mean, there's some serious rednecks in Maryland. You know what I'm saying? And I say rednecks with all nothing but love. And South Jersey's like that too, by the way. They call South Jersey Alabama. You know, it's funny. That's crazy. And Delaware has a lot of the same things. You get a lot of doctors who leave Pennsylvania and move to Delaware. That's my experience. You know what I'm saying? A lot of highfalutin people because the property taxes in Delaware are so much cheaper. Now, the public schools in Delaware suck. So they're like, I'm leaving New Jersey. I'm leaving Pennsylvania because I don't need schools anymore. I'm going to go down to Delaware where the property taxes are low. Delaware kicks ass. No other way around that, man. Would I move to Delaware? I could see that. My wife and I were just talking about that when we were trying to see Chloe the other day at UGA. I said, we got to figure this out, man. We got 4 to 5 years before we got to find a place to retire to. And, the default's Virginia because that's where she's from. But I said, we got to think this through so we can do some investigation. But Delaware is all right by me. I frankly doubt I'd be in Delaware, but there's a lot of wonderful parts of Delaware. One thing that memory serves, though, getting homeowners insurance in Delaware, if memory serves, was a pain in the ass. I had a guy who was a doctor, pretty highfalutin doctor, as one of my clients in Philadelphia, and he moved to Delaware, and USAA wouldn't insure him. And I can't remember because it's on the whole state, they would not insure because of the hurricanes and whatnot. So I don't know if that's changed, but that's tons of. I think it'd go the other way around. Marylanders moved to West Virginia, but yeah, I mean West Virginia, Maryland, basically the same thing, man. Out in Western Virginia, or Western Maryland, I should say. Yeah, that Maryland's freaking fantastic. I love Maryland. I do. I'm a big fan. Long time, first time. But the politics sucks, dudes. You know what I'm saying? There's just no two ways around that. But Maryland's freaking gorgeous. You got the waters, you got the crabs. You know what I'm saying? Just got the state flag is awesome. Just as the Montgomery County, it's just a DC. So if Trump wins re-election in 2024, his second reelection, he should literally break up the swamp and move Department of Energy, Department of Interior, move the IRS, move all these places out of the FDA, spread them out so they don't consolidate. And you watch how Maryland changes overnight. It'd be awesome to see. Well, we thought about that pulverizer for us. Where you retire depends on where your children. Well, the issue is that Ringgold from Georgia. Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I think I did a video on it though. I actually kind of liked it, Angie. Ringgold, Georgia is interesting, that's for sure. It's right up there, right south of Chattanooga. And if memory serves, I had a nice little downtown. I have a video on this channel. I just can't remember. I remember in my head, I said, "Oh, this is a pretty cool little town." But we're just talking about, yeah. So like for us, we got 4 kids. Who knows where they'll end up? And yeah, I don't know. But people say I want to be near my grandkids. Well, I do too. But it's like, what if I have one in Las Vegas, one in Boston, one in Jacksonville, and one in freaking San Antonio? I'm not moving to Kansas City. You know what I'm saying? So who knows what will happen? All right. We're gonna be stalker parents. Yeah, Tim Pool's in West Virginia now. Yeah, he moved from New Jersey, if memory serves. West Virginia kicks ass, dudes. Love West Virginia. I'll never move there. My wife won't allow it. If you're a native of Virginia, you don't move to West Virginia. You know what I'm saying? I love West Virginia. My brothers and sisters, West Virginia. I love you. That I'll never convince the ball and chain to move to West Virginia. It's kind of like if you're from Maine, you'd never move to Massachusetts, the massholes, you know what I'm saying? If you're like, I'm from Maine, never happened. Just because like I'm living in Massachusetts. It's all snots are, you know what I'm saying? So in Virginia, they look down at West Virginians. In Maine, we get pissed off because Massachusetts, massholes look down on us in Maine. So we said, I'm not moving to those massholes. They can keep their friggin' highfalutin ways. We here in Maine, we're lucky to have teeth. You know what I'm saying? But in Virginia, they're looking at that like people down in West Virginia. Yeah, right there, man. Nope, not moving to Phoenix. You know why I'm not moving to Phoenix, Billy B? Who wants to know why I'm not moving to Phoenix? Anyone want to take a guess? Because Macon had the almond brothers. No, look at my man Marty. Stay away from New Jersey. No one says, how's New Jersey for retirement? That has never happened. Never happened, man. No water. 100%. Yep, everybody gets it. Marty says, don't move to New Jersey because the taxes too high. Not one guy has ever said, what do you think about New Jersey, Josh? I lived in South Jersey, Marty, for 2 years, Haddonfield. The best town I ever lived in. We loved it there. An hour that way to the beach. My sister lives in Morristown. My uncle had a place on Love Ladies. Freaking kicked ass and took names. Everything was, we could go to Hershey. Philadelphia's right there. Go see the Flyers and the Phillies. And now that the Sixers, we didn't follow basketball back then, but for some reason my youngest loves the NBA. Don't know why, but we could go check out the Sixers. Everything was there. It was fantastic. You take the train. I took the train into Center City. Our neighbors were fantastic. It was just freaking awesome. But you couldn't own firearms, basically. And the property taxes through the roof. And I can only imagine what it came to Frank Murphy. What's his name? Frank Murphy or something like that? Phil Murphy. You know what I'm saying? Like, freaking, I'm not getting your stupid jabs. I'm not happening. And it's just, and the idea, I guarantee Haddonfield was big on jabs. I guarantee it. They probably still are. And it's just not happening. And as such, they can kiss my big fat behind. Taxes are one thing, but when you start violating citizens' rights to own a firearm, again, remember that black lady? She was arrested and thrown into jail for owning a firearm that she told the cop she had. She's a single black lady from an urban area of Philly that was very threatening violence. She went over the bridge into New Jersey. She got pulled over. They said, do you have a firearm? She goes, yes. I have a concealed carry in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, whatever it was. They said, okay. And they arrested her and they took her kids away. At the same time, these same liberals were hitting on Trump for freaking saying, how dare you take children away and put them in cages? Even though that's the same thing Obama did. It was insanity. And it took Chris Christie an act of Congress for that fat piece of crap to get off his ass and sign the thing to excuse this woman and say, no, we're not trying.
I say Chris Christie. I remember what's her name, the big tall blonde lady, whatever, Ann Coulter. She's like Chris Christie. That was look. I knew this is before I recognized what the hell's going on. I had some suspicion about Christie, but I was like, yeah, all right. This is back in like 2013 or 14 or so. I was here by then, but still, I remember I said, yeah, all right, Chris Christie. But then when he's throwing the hat in the ring, I said, nope, you're a clown, dude. You should have freaking wrecked. You should have recused that lady immediately. Immediately. There's just basic political instincts would have said, no, I'm basic political instincts would have said, yeah, I'm going to recuse her or whatever it is, excuse her. Anyway, Whitman, horrible. Chrissy Todd Whitman, Chris Christie. Oh, God almighty. Chrissy Todd Whitman, Chris Christie. And then you had Corzine, who never went to jail. What the hell? By the way, did you know Obama's granddad was probably a CIA operative? Isn't that crazy? You should look on the history of Obama, dude. It's I tell you, man, it's crazy. If you just read the Wikipedia page, you're like, that doesn't sound that nefarious. It's I tell you, man. I was doing this today. I was reading more about Obama. I was like, that's weird. And they moved to Hawaii so they could be I don't want to go into it because I got to get off here in a second. But Obama's granddad was probably a CIA asset. His mom supposedly married Barack Obama Sr. No, she was I think Obama's dad was some comment. Look, it's completely set up. I've been telling you, man. It's crazy. You look at Obama, you're like, Obama was chosen for. Now, there's a bunch of Obamas out there that they want to say, well, who can we pick today to be the next Obama? Marco Rubio, maybe from the right, Obama from the left. They got these guys in there that they really line up to be the next, saving grace for the big party, the uniparty. It's crazy, man. So not only was Barack Obama's granddad probably a CIA asset, and his mom too. I tell you, just do some research on it. It's crazy. You'll be like, holy, even if it's only half right, you're like, yeah, that's a story that's nuts. But then, of course, George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA. Prescott Bush, we know, was profiting off the Nazi war machine. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's this one commonality between all these people. Isn't it crazy? Crazy. Now, at least with George H.W. Bush, I mean, he was a patriot in terms of he fought in World War II and he took injuries. Same with Bob Dole. So we're told. Now, I don't question that, but still, at the end of the day, you're like Prescott Bush. That's interesting. George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA. He's deep in the deep state. Obama, deep in the deep state. Anyway, all right. Mayor Pete, that's your boy. That's your boy. All right, I got to get on a call here at 2, so I can get prepared. Talking to a guy and his better half. Yeah, right there. $200 electricity bill, no gas. I'm running AC almost 24/7. It's 72. Damn, dude. 72. Damn, doc. That's pretty good. What was I getting ready to say? So yeah, so I gotta get the better half on there because this guy's like, you gotta convince. No, he didn't say this. It was, if anyone wants me to convince their wives that they can do this, no, I'm never getting involved in that. But he's like, I want you to share with you your findings about my wife so she doesn't get so worried. I said, no, I get it. It's the awful. And look at Angie. She's seeing it. She's seeing it. My daughter runs it. Huh? Okay. I thought you said 72 ain't hot. Damn. Mayor Pete. That's who Marty's vote for Mayor Pete. All right. Gotta go. See you guys. Thanks for being here. God bless. Bye-bye. See you on Thursday, noon. God bless.